Hey all, Jason Levon, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to another edition of Pause and Pray. Christy and I love art, and one of my favorite pieces is this sculpture of a resting Buddha. Admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about Buddhism. I leave that to Christy. She is much more knowledgeable about the wisdom of Buddhism and Eastern traditions than I am. And that's part of the reason why I love this piece of art so much, because it reminds me of Christy. It also expresses in its own way the importance and holiness and prayer of entering into rest. For us in the Christian tradition, we promote that with the idea of Sabbath, yet how many of us, myself included, are really intentional about entering into that kind of holy and prayerful divine rest. And in that sense, too, it also reminds me of my wife, Christy, because she's so much better than I am at that. I mean, minutes after her head hits the pillow, she's out and asleep. And for me, it takes hours if sleep even comes, because I've just always been so incredibly restless. Maybe I shouldn't admit that being a priest, but it's just the truth. And the best spiritual mentors and directors I've had have reminded me that the invitation in life isn't to try to combat my restlessness, but to make peace with it. But it's something I struggle to find, to enter into, the prayer and holiness of divine rest. Maybe because it's so elusive, it seems all the more like a precious and holy gift to me. As we're praying through the daily office these days, we're walking through chapter 4 of the letter to the Hebrews. And in today's portion, there's this reflection on the gift of being drawn into God's rest, to being drawn into divine rest. And I really had to pause when I came across that notion, because again, for me, and I'm preaching to myself, sometimes I think of faith in a sense as a work, this demanding life. And then every night when I look at how I did, I realize how short I've come, and then cue the restlessness of my mind and another sleepless night. But today, I'm invited to pause and pray, and maybe you are too, reflecting in gratitude about the ways in which I do find some gifts drawing me into divine rest in the midst of all of my restlessness. For me, it's not so much found in things like sleep at night, but what might happen during the day, like taking a run. It's one of the few things that can really quiet my soul and my mind and is truly prayer for me. Or maybe getting lost in a really good album, or going for a hike with Christy and Blue, or spending time with the grandkiddos, or just having really good connection with people. I mean, last week on Ash Wednesday, I was blessed to be drawn into divine rest, and when I was able to pray with and connect with 63 souls that walked through St. Luke's Church to receive ashes and communion, and it's the first time in almost a year that's happened. And I hope and pray that you can name some gifts in your life too that find a way to draw you into some divine rest. And ultimately, we're called today to give thanks and praise to God for that gift, that despite all of the restlessness life may bring to us, we encounter God stepping into all of that and working to draw us into some divine rest. So maybe as part of our Lenten journeys, we can pray for the grace to be more attentive to that gift and to open our lives to it, allowing us in so many different ways to be drawn into that gift of divine rest. Lenten peace and blessings to you all.